Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Ida continues its destructive trek today, pummeling Mississippi and Alabama with heavy rain and strong winds as the storm moves inland. People across the southeast are bracing for heavy flooding and possible tornadoes throughout the day. In Louisiana, residents are getting their first looks at the extensive damage Ida left behind. Good evening, I'm Lauren McCullough. Forecasters are predicting that remnants of that storm could affect the southern tier. Meteorologist Kim Walker joins us now with more on the possible impact.
Ida is still a very powerful storm system spinning in Mississippi right now. It is expected to move to the northeast, landing in the mid-Atlantic by the end of the day on Wednesday, and then move into the Atlantic. We are expecting the impacts of it by Wednesday, mainly in the form of showers for the northern tier, but in the southern tier, there could be some flooding concerns. We'll have more details on that coming up in a few minutes.
Thanks, Kim. Ida weakened to a tropical storm today, 16 hours after making landfall. The system now moves through the southeast as Louisiana residents get their first look at the damage. Madeline Rivera has more.
Ida is rapidly weakening after leaving behind widespread devastation. The storm still packing a punch as it moves across the southeast. Ida continues its destructive trek Monday, pummeling Mississippi and Alabama with heavy rain and strong winds as the storm moves inland. People across the southeast are bracing for heavy flooding and possible tornadoes throughout the day. In Louisiana, residents are getting their first looks at the extensive damage Ida left behind. The storm barreled ashore Sunday afternoon as a Category 4 hurricane. 150-mile-per-hour winds quickly tearing roofs off of buildings and forcing homes from their foundations.
Last year for Laura, we actually lost our house totally. So we didn't want to take a chance this time.
More than 1 million customers are without power. Catastrophic transmission damage leaving the entire city of New Orleans in the dark, with the only power coming from generators.
All the preparation we did, I'm not sure if we were quite prepared for what happened. We need to power generators and chainsaws so we can clear roads and get some emergency power to those that need it.
President Biden approved a major disaster declaration for Louisiana, freeing up aid to help with recovery efforts. Neighboring states are offering their full support.
We always are ready to deliver that mutual aid, as are other states. We're Americans, we come together.
Louisiana officials say the National Guard has begun search and rescue operations. The recovery efforts could take weeks. In New Orleans, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Tonight, Watkins Glen is mourning the loss of local racing legend Vic Frances. Vic was the owner of the Glen Motor Inn and was commemorated on the Watkins Glen Drivers Walk of Fame. Big Fox's Matt Kleindens joins us with the story tonight from Corning.
Good evening, Lauren. There's been an outpouring of support for the local race legend who tore up the track as a driver and as a team owner. According to the Glen Motor Inn, owner and racing legend Vic Frances passed away on Saturday at the age of 81. Frances competed in racing series throughout the 60s and 70s as a driver before becoming a team owner of Glen Racing Limited. His team raced a number of McLarens in the prestigious Can-Am series, and one of his drivers held the lap record at Watkins Glen International. His accomplishments as a driver and owner earned Vic a spot on the Watkins Glen Drivers Walk of Fame. Vic Frances's funeral will be held on Thursday at St. Mary's Church in Watkins Glen. Matt Kleindens, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
An early morning fire is under investigation in Millerton, Pennsylvania. According to local newspaper First News Now, local fire departments were called to Draper Supply around 3:30 this morning. The fire caused Route 328 to close while crews fought the flames. The business suffered fire, smoke, and water damage to the front of the building. The cause of the fire is to be determined. The new COVID surge is accelerating as the Delta variant fuels a huge spike in cases. Lauren Blanchard has more from Washington.
The numbers just keep ticking up. We're now averaging more than 156,000 new COVID cases every day in the U.S. as the surge accelerates, fueled by the Delta variant. A study published in the medical journal Lancet shows those infected with Delta are twice as likely to be hospitalized as those with the original strain. The White House says vaccine boosters will go a long way toward containing the surge, but Dr. Anthony Fauci says he's still recommending the shots 8 months after the original vaccination, not 5, as suggested by President Biden last week.
We're going to have to go through the standard way of the FDA looking at the data and then the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices.
The hardest hit state continues to be Florida, which set a record for new infections last week. On Friday, a judge blocked an order from Governor Ron DeSantis banning mask mandates in schools. Now a growing number of districts throughout the state are requiring masks for teachers and students, claiming it's the best way to stop the spread.
If somebody is positive, it ripples into the other kids in the classroom and perhaps even the teacher.
And with more schools reopening, health officials are getting creative as they try to increase vaccination rates. Philadelphia holding a vaccination parade over the weekend where hundreds of people rolled up their sleeves.
When we were amazed at how receptive folks were to getting vaccinated. We've been hitting numbers that were unlike any others.
The Biden administration is also setting up multiple vaccination sites for Afghan refugees arriving in the U.S. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Masking and testing could help prevent coronavirus infections in at least half of susceptible K-12 students. That's according to projections modeled by researchers from North Carolina State University. Universal mask use plus randomized testing could reduce the proportion of infected students to as low as 1/4. The same data showed that without any mitigation measures, between 75 and 90% of susceptible students may get infected in the first 3 months of school. Susceptible students are those who aren't vaccinated or don't have natural immunity. According to modeled scenarios, that's between 30 and 50% of incoming students. New York's Department of Agriculture is asking residents to keep an eye out for the spotted lanternfly. The invasive species has been found in states throughout the Northeast and is known to damage plants and crops. According to the department, the state could suffer $300 million of losses each year due to this insect, mainly due to the grape and wine industry. If you see the spotted lanternfly in your area, you should crush it. Tomorrow, August 31st, the deadline for the U.S. to withdraw from Afghanistan. But as Britt Conway reports, the violence there is intensifying with another reported attack on Kabul's airport following U.S. airstrikes over the weekend.
As the clock winds down for all U.S. troops to withdraw from Afghanistan.
We are in a period of serious danger.
Monday morning, a U.S. official tells CNN as many as 5 rockets were fired at Kabul's airport, but shot down by a U.S. defense system. There were no reports of casualties or who was responsible. Friday and Sunday, officials say U.S. airstrikes took out 2 high-profile ISIS-K targets.
We have disrupted those attacks. They are individuals involved in the facilitation and planning and production of explosive devices, and they are part of the larger network of ISIS-K that is seeking to target both Americans at the airport and ultimately to try to represent a greater threat to our interests both in Afghanistan and beyond.
Federal officials say that includes possible threats here in the U.S.
Their current capability to threaten the homeland is not there, but that is a capability that they are seeking.
All while desperate evacuation efforts continue, closing in on the withdrawal deadline. But officials say the mission isn't over. The U.S., along with 114 countries, released a joint statement saying they expect the Taliban to allow safe travel out of Afghanistan.
August 31st is not a cliff. After August 31st, we believe that we have substantial leverage to hold the Taliban to its commitments to allow safe passage.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Philadelphia residents gathering to call for an end to the violence in Afghanistan and standing up for human rights. Jasmine Payute reports.
Chants and cries for help amid deadly attacks. A soaking wet crowd gathered for a human rights Afghan march in Philadelphia Saturday.
Every day when I go home, my wife is crying. I'm just getting a little bit emotional. I'm an emotional guy. Like my kids, I have 2 kids and they are 3 and they are 7. Every day they are asking me like why mommy is crying.
The show of solidarity, personal for Afghanistan immigrant and city business owner Salim Rahimi. His brother-in-law, a professor at an Afghan university, still there looking for a way to the United States before the evacuation shuts down.
You're scared for him?
Absolutely, absolutely. who is not? Everybody right now, whoever is over here, if you go to their house, everybody is sad. Everybody is sad for their families.
In times like this, when the eyes of the world, are tearing up and grieving, Philadelphia stands as yet another beacon of possibility.
The march started at City Hall and ended here on the steps of the Art Museum. Their resolve not wavering, even due to this rain.
This march is very encouraging. I hope the people here who are from Afghanistan feel the warmth of Philadelphia and see that we came out in the rain because we care about them.
With the city of brotherly love now welcoming refugees, natives say they're hopeful but not satisfied.
I am, but what about the rest of the people that live in Afghanistan? What about them? What about the other children? What about the other women and girls there? They cannot study, they cannot go to work. What about them?
Still ahead tonight, employees at a Goodwill store finding a treasure in one of their recent donations.
It's like our customers say they find treasures here all the time. To me, that's a piece of treasure.
More on these discovered lost letters from World War II and how they were reunited with their owner.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. We are continuing to track Ida at this time, and that's because it may impact our weather as we head into the middle of the week. The official track does take it to the mid-Atlantic by Wednesday and Thursday, and then eventually into the Atlantic on Friday. As it approaches from the south on Wednesday, we are expecting clouds to increase, and there is the potential of flooding, especially in the northern portions of Pennsylvania or the southern tier of our viewing area. But out ahead of that system, there is a cold front that will be swinging through. Right now it's located just to our northwest, and it will swing through by tomorrow. We are expecting mainly cloudy conditions, but it will be dry and it will actually feel very comfortable. But then heavy rain will start to arrive Tuesday night into early Wednesday as Ida starts to move to the north. There is the potential of flooding, especially in portions of Pennsylvania. For Corning and Elmira, I'm expecting maybe about an inch could be possible depending on the exact track of Ida. Right now, though, it is feeling a little bit humid out ahead of that front with dew points in the upper 60s. As we head into tomorrow, though, those dew points will be dropping down into the lower 60s, possibly even into the 50s in some locations. So it's not going to be quite as humid, but it will be cloudy. Temperatures will be very close to a normal or just a degree or two cooler. We're talking about warming up to around 78 degrees by 1 o'clock, and we'll stay in the upper 70s through the afternoon hours, but clouds will really start to thicken up by the end of the day on Tuesday. So let's take a look at our future radar, where we're finding clouds increasing by 7 o'clock in the morning, and they will stick around through much of the day. It clears out by 7 o'clock in the evening. However, we are expecting Ida to draw a little bit closer, so the clouds will start to thicken up again near sunrise on Wednesday, and then the rain starts to approach during the day. So around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it looks like showers will be possible. Let's say from Elmira to Binghamton, the heaviest rain will be located in eastern Pennsylvania, and then those showers will start to give way to a little bit drier conditions as Ida pulls away. But those clouds will stick around. Can't rule out more showers or thunderstorms that may move into Hornell and also in Bath during the day. So again, on Wednesday night into Thursday, more rain will be possible. This will continue into the early morning hours on Thursday, and then when Ida moves out on Friday, it looks like our chances of rain will start to decrease. How much rain are we expecting from now through about Thursday evening? Well, in Elmira, about 1 inch could be possible. near ½ an inch in Bath and about 1.6 inches in Sayre, so a lot to go around. Tonight we drop down to near 60 degrees. Highs tomorrow will be in the upper 70s and lower 80s, and then we cool down into the lower 70s by the second half of the week.
The Caldor fire has been burning east of Sacramento, California for more than 2 weeks now. Cal Fire says it's the state's #1 priority. Lisa Mitri spoke with firefighters and filed this report.
The head of the Caldor fire continued its push east in El Dorado County today, roaring through the trees.
This is a very dynamic fire, very active and very dangerous.
Captain Keith Wade is working with Cal Fire's incident management team.
This is the highest temperature that the firefighters on the line are experiencing, and then some of the lowest humidities, 8 to 10%.
There are a lot of crews parked along Highway 50 here near Camp Sacramento, and this is what they're keeping an eye on. We're seeing trees torch along the hillside here.
Crews prepared Camp Sacramento to try to protect it from the fire.
A lot of hand crews have come through there, removed lower level vegetations, cleared them back in the event that the fire could catch that and get the structures damaged.
At about 2:30, we saw these flames spark on the north side of Highway 50, a relatively small spot fire that then erupted into this, a wall of fire raging along the highway. A 5-mile drive to the east. Fire crews staged at the Sierra at Tahoe Ski Resort. All the while, ash fell in the parking lot and water sprayed on the property.
Employees at a Goodwill in East Tennessee found a special treasure in one of their recent donations, 2 lost letters from World War II, and they made sure that they were reunited with their owner. Andrew McClung has the story.
No donation is ever quite the same at Goodwill in Kingsport.
Well, there's been a lot of strange. There's been a lot of good things. A lot of weird things.
And one of those donations fit all 3 categories when just a few weeks ago, a man brought in some items to donate. A jewelry box caught the eye of Melinda Brummett.
You know, it's old, but the leg is broke, but it's so old that maybe somebody will buy it.
Melinda's co-worker Holly Saylor looked it over.
When I got it, I noticed it was heavy, so I picked it up, opened it, seen some letters in it, took the first one out, read it, and I was like, this is a mistaken donation.
Holly told her co-worker Isabella Hilton what she found.
I said, do you realize when these were written? And they were like, well, no. Like, what are you talking about? And I said, these are dated 1944 in Germany.
The letters belong to childhood sweethearts Betty and Jean Herron. They grew up in the Tri-Cities. They're letters Jean wrote to Betty while he served in the U.S. military during World War II. The workers knew they needed to get those letters back to their rightful owners. What happened next? An important step to make that happen.
So just so happened the day he came back, I was working donations again. And I said, we've got something for you.
Workers learned that Jean and Betty both recently passed away. When family members were cleaning out their old house, one of the grandchildren took something in the keepsake pile to Goodwill by mistake. Their daughter Gail says it means so much to have those letters back.
We didn't really know these letters existed. To have someone find them and return them was amazing. Just listening to something that we didn't even know we had.
It's like our customers say they find treasures here all the time. To me, that's a piece of treasure.
A Florida high school student is back in class and doing well after collapsing last week. He has a school nurse and a deputy to thank for saving his life. Heather Lee has the body cam video to show us what happened.
Wake up, baby. Take a breath. Wake up, baby. Take a breath. Take a breath, baby.
A frantic few minutes.
It felt like an eternity.
As William Milana, a school resource deputy, and Alicia Robertson, a school nurse at Wharton High School, worked to save a student's life.
Take a breath, baby.
Around 3 p.m. last Tuesday, Robertson was crossing campus when she was told a student collapsed outside.
I turned him over and assessed him and realized that his pulse was weak and thready.
She quickly called Deputy Milana over, who also called for backup. But in the meantime, they knew he needed immediate life-saving care.
He had what I was trained as agonal breathing, so it looked like he was breathing. It looked like his eyes were open. It would appear like he was responding to the nurse's, chest sternum rubs. But the reality is he wasn't. He was out. He was done. And that's what the AED told us.
That decision saved his life. The student was in cardiac arrest. Agonal breathing is the body's natural reflex to gasp for air and get oxygen when the brain isn't getting what it needs to survive.
The AED provided a shock, and then it said CPR. So we just did CPR until EMS arrived.
It was the first time both of them have used the AED at school, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And that student is now doing extremely well.
Yeah, he's back at school. He's back at school like nothing happened.
Sheriff Chad Chronister says it's a prime example of how important training is. Quote, Deputy Milana's actions are a shining example of the heroism and composure under pressure that law enforcement officers must display every day. We are incredibly grateful that the first aid training each of our deputies receives was able to help this young man make it back home to his family.
Coffee prices are at their highest level in 4 years. Futures for Robusta coffee have jumped more than $2,000 per metric ton. Robusta coffee is often used to make espresso. Analysts point to bad weather in Brazil, which is the largest coffee producer in the world. Brazil was hit with a bad drought this year, then followed by frost. The weather seriously harmed the nation's coffee trees. Experts also blame COVID-19 restrictions in Vietnam for aiding in the rise of prices. A pair of adorable, high-profile zoo animal births are definitely the video we need right now. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Goodness knows good news is greatly needed, and cute baby zoo animals are just what the doctor ordered. Like this newborn Asian elephant calf at Ohio's Columbus Zoo, whose name was recently revealed with an adorable word jumble. Wait, that can't be right. Wait, what? Come on.
Frankie!
There it is. 9-week-old Frankie got its name from a zoo benefactor who wanted to honor their late mother named Frances. The San Diego Zoo debuted a bouncing baby resident of its own, a rare white rhino calf. The 125-pound baby girl is the latest of the zoo's successful breeding program, which aims to aid the dwindling population of this near-threatened species. This one is not yet named, but it's easily as cute as Frankie. By the way, do you know what you get when you cross an elephant and a rhino? Elefino. Okay, if that one didn't make you smile, this definitely will. A waitress in Michigan was riding high after getting a $1,000 tip from a table, but the huge tip was just the tip of the iceberg. After reaching out to thank the customer, who had a familiar last name, she found out he was the son of a woman who had helped raise her when she was just a child. The unreal chance encounter now blossoming into a very real and meaningful friendship.
He said that I'm going to be in his life forever and he's going to be here for me for the rest of my life like his mom would want him to be.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. When most Americans hear turkey and pumpkins, they think, of course, of Thanksgiving. But the Honey Baked Ham Company is combining the two flavors into one fall product. Its new pumpkin spice glazed turkey breast. And the name pretty well says it all. It is a turkey breast covered in Honey Baked Ham's signature glaze and a pumpkin spice blend. The food retailer describes the topping as sweet and crunchy. The turkey breast can be bought roasted or smoked, and it comes fully cooked, pre-sliced, and ready to serve. Honey Baked says it will be available at most of their locations through October 31st. A pair of adorable, high-profile zoo animal births are definitely the video we need right now. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.